the presentation of them. I found this really interesting because if you look at Havelock, he's like a sort of a teacher from the Beano or something, like very much an old school professor. Whereas Marshall is just he's just much more at home in the medium of the television. But here they are having a little back and forth.
In our own world, visual space is being phased out by the new environment of instantaneous, simultaneous electric information, which is acoustic in structure. That is why I have these two hemispheres here with us today. The world of visual space is in the left hemisphere, the sequential, continuous, connected one. The world of acoustic, primitive, third world space is in the right hemisphere. It's a world of the simultaneous, the holistic, and the world of gestalt and figure ground and pattern recognition. The alphabet, which Professor Havelock has superbly studied, it was the means by which the left hemisphere came into action for the first time in human history. It is now being phased out by electronic technology. The electronic world is simultaneous, instantaneous, spherical, and third world, intuitive, and right hemisphere.
I know that there was I'm aware of the book which first put forward this theory of the two hemispheres, but I've only read reviews of it. I've not read it.
No,
and,
it's not it's Professor Havelock. It is not a book. This is the work of a group of surgeons over the last few decades.
Yes, but it has been brought out. And
are you thinking of Julian Jaynes?
Read reviews of it. The last one I read was in the New Yorker, actually.
Julian Jaynes, you mean the bicameral mind? That is a bit of science fiction.
Yes, it was. But it was based upon this work.
No, well, not based on, but just alluding to, really.
Yeah.
I can see Marshall's heart breaking a little here. Andrew McLuhan has supplied this high-res scan of this. He had it kicking around his house. So basically, Marshall was very keen to incorporate this. When he read a lot, and he was on this, there's something here. But unfortunately, the hemisphere hypothesis was certainly unfashionable in the late 70s. After that, it got very much more unfashionable. So here's something from maybe 87.
From New York to Los Angeles, people are purchasing or renting time on their favorite brain-tuning devices. Inventor David Graham was at the expo demonstrating this Graham potentializer. As the table rotates slowly, the fluids of the inner ear send impulses to the brain. Using goggles with strobing lights and earphones with strobing sounds, the Synchro Energizer brings the analytical left brain into synchronization with the creative right brain.
So, yeah, the hemisphere hypothesis in the 80s, 90s, very much associated with quackery and kind of pop science. So very easily dismissed. And it must have seemed as if Marshall was kind of jumping on this bandwagon. But I know some of you here are familiar with the work of Ian McGilchrist, who has done a spectacular job in rehabilitating the hemisphere hypothesis. And I thought it's worth just taking a short detour to go through the kind of cliff notes of the hemisphere hypothesis as outlined by Ian McGilchrist, who's written two very voluminous, very well-researched books on the topic. So in his view, the left hemisphere evolved to identify food and prey, whereas the right evolved to detect predators and mates. One specialized on focused attention and grasp, the other is alert and has vigilant attention to the whole environment. One concentrates on one thing at the exclusion of the rest. The other integrates a wide array of information. One singles out the part from the whole, the other understands the whole using complex pattern recognition. One identifies with labels and works in abstractions, whereas the other understands context and works in metaphors. One takes things literally and obsessively follows its own logic based on relationships between categories. The right hemisphere understands context and works in metaphors. It reads indirect cues and relationships between things. One understands the non-living world of tools and things very well. The right hemisphere understands the living world, nature and systems. One focuses on manipulable social emotions, the other on empathy and emotional understanding. The left focuses on analytical problem solving and symbol manipulation. The right focuses on problem solving, insight and abductive reasoning, so working from the ground up. The left focuses on the explicit meaning of words and language as a tool of manipulation, whereas the right focuses on metaphorical meaning of language, such as humour and poetry. The left hemisphere has enormous certainty in its own models of the world. The right hemisphere is comfortable with ambiguity and entertaining multiple explanations for phenomena. Marshall wrote, "Concepts are provisional affairs for apprehending reality. Their value is the grip they provide. Ideas are very secondary devices for clambering up and over rocky faces." So I think you can see where I'm going with this. Very much he mapped the dialectic to the left and grammar and rhetoric to the right very neatly, actually. If we were to summarize, one looks for figure, the other looks for ground. One is there in concepts, the other in percepts. One deals in abstraction, one in metaphor. One deals with division, the other with connections. One is the world of bureaucrats, the other Bohemians.